Good morning / afternoon. I again apologize, I'm running a little behind. It's just hard to get pizza that early in the morning, and I hope it's good. This class they asked me to come in. It's going to be very casual. I think we have 3 more of these classes, and it's basically Brescia partnered with Fifth Third because they want you all at the end of your 4 years, when you walk away with a 4-year degree, you also walk away with the tools in your tool belt that you'll need to be financially sound throughout your life. So that's basically what this is. Did I see any of you all yesterday by chance? Yes. Oh, okay, good. Well, nice to meet you again. For those of you all that don't know me, my name is Trish Green. I've lived in Owensboro my entire life. I've been with Fifth Third Bank as their branch manager downtown for 2 years. Before that, I was a district manager for Cracker Barrel Old Country Store for Western Kentucky. So I traveled for 14 years, all through my kids growing up basically. And then I had grandkids and decided, you know what, I'm not missing this. And so I started with Fifth Third Bank. And I've been very passionate about teaching young adults how to take care of their finances and get them started, because that was a struggle for me. I got married when I was 20 years old. I went to school in Western Kentucky University in Bowling Green, and when you're young and newly married, you end up getting in a little bit of financial bind. And it wasn't anything major, but it was major to my husband and I. So we decided we were going to make sure our kids didn't do that. And I have a son and a daughter. I have a 31-year-old daughter. She graduated from USI, and she's in logistics. And then I have a son that's 28. And he is a personal banker. He just left Fifth Third, and he's at Republic Bank. And they both have children, and my son has a daughter on the way, my first granddaughter. And I taught them when they were your all's age to start saving. And at first it was just pennies on the dollar. They had their little change, but it was something that they didn't touch unless there was an emergency. I also taught them, if they did get a credit card, start with one. Make sure you don't put anything on the card that you can't pay off that month. And that's how they built their credit. And I'm proud to say right now, I have 27 and 31. They both own their own homes. And my son has about $40,000 equity in his home already at 27 years old. So it can be done. It's hard. I taught them that, if you didn't need it and you haven't saved this week, then guess what? Why don't you go on and save? And it's very difficult because you have those friends that are going, oh, come on, it's not going to be that much. And I just taught them how to do that. So basically, that's what I want to do for you guys in the next 4 sessions. Maybe give you those tools on how to build your credit. How many of you all went to the e-bus when it was here? Did any of you all get to the e-bus? The ones that went there, did you all have a credit report? Did one pop up? It did? No? Did yours pop up? Did you have a credit report yet? Oh, well, yeah, you did. Yeah. Most of the students that we got, some of them had car loans that their parents had co-signed, so they did have a credit report. But I would say out of 10 students, did not have a credit report at all. So how many of you all are freshmen? None? How many of you all are seniors? Ah, seniors. How many of you all have credit? Good, good. You don't know. See, that's the point. A lot of people don't know what their credit scores are. And what we do when they come into Fifth Third Bank, the first thing we talk to them about is credit, because a lot of people will come in to Fifth Third to purchase their own home, and then they find either they have poor credit or no credit at all. And a lot of places will want you to have 3 trade lines. And what we mean by that, trade lines, is a credit card, a revolving type of credit. That's not what, you don't need to go out and get 3 credit cards, don't get me wrong. But you do need to start something to build your credit. There's different banks that have different items that you can use. We have a secured card, and basically what that is you build savings account up to $300, and then we issue you a credit card based upon that savings. So that savings is held as security, and then you take the credit card out. You can't charge more than $300, obviously, because that's the limit, and you go and charge something, even if it's a $10 item, and then turn around and pay it off, and that's going to help you build your credit. Other places have different other things that can do, but it's important to get into a bank that you can sit down with a banker or someone in that office and pull up your credit report, and whatever, a lot of people will find things on their credit report that they didn't even know was there. And a lot of times it is medical expenses or something like that I don't know how many of you all have had any kind of medical issues that you had to go to the hospital or to the doctor or anything. Well, what happens is the first bill comes and it says this is not a bill, and they're billing your insurance. And that's the first one you get. The next month, it's basically the same thing, and it takes like 3 months for all that to go through. And so what happens is people think insurance is taking care of it, and then it ends up in collections, and that's how it gets on their credit report. So if you're working with someone that pulls your credit every 30 days, and you can pull your credit every 30 days and make sure it's at least 31 days. It's a soft pull on your credit, and it doesn't hurt your credit report. If you do it before the 30 days, then it will hit your credit and it will hurt your credit. It'll take it down about 20 points sometimes. With credit cards, every time you apply for a credit card, they pull credit, and that affects your credit. So just make sure, don't get too many credit cards at one time. And I would say start off with one, pay it off, and go along. So you may have any questions about any of that so far? No? Okay, good deal. What are your all's biggest financial issues that you're having right now? Paying off your student loans? I know. I just paid off my daughter's student loan, and granted, she's 31 years old, so I just paid it off this year. There are things out there that can help you with that. You just have to look for them. For instance, we have it's called Momentum, and it's an app out there right now and I'm doing it for my son-in-law because he still has student loans out. And if you bank at Fifth Third, or someone you know banks at Fifth Third, they can go on Momentum, and it has to do with the swipe of your debit card. And every time I swipe my debit card, and it's $10.19, my debit card will automatically charge me $11. It takes it up, and that pocket change goes to his student loan. So, I'd probably swipe my card 20 times a week. So that's 80 times. If it does $80 or whatever, and that goes directly to his principal because he's actually making his payment, and so not interest. He's paying the interest, so all of mine goes directly to his. We have found that drops the length of the loan by 3 years or more, just from that. And the thing about it is, he's enlisted other people, so his grandparents, his parents, so he's going to get his paid off a lot quicker, and we won't notice it. It's our debit card, and it's change on the dollar. So there are other things out there that you can do. I know my son-in-law, he had 5 different loans. I don't know if y'all have quite a few. He had 5 different loans. So out of pocket every month, he was paying like $600 on all these loans. And I worked with him. We were able to consolidate them. He got a better interest rate. So there are ways out there that you can lower your monthly payment and lower your interest so when you get out of school. Okay, so you just have to look for them. I'm sure there's people here that can help you, or your financial institution, whoever. And then you can always come and talk to us. We'd be happy to help you also. Okay, I called this session Financial University. How many of you all have your own checkbooks and everybody have your own accounts? And I'm talking a lot, so I have to drink some. One question that came up yesterday when we were talking about credit was, is a debit card work to build your credit as a credit card? And no, that's not the case. It's not really an open line. However, they do take into account if you overdraw it or fall into check systems. And what that means, if you fall into check systems, is an institution has closed out either a checking or savings and where you owed money. So they charged off the account. The institution was paid, but it's gone into collections. And actually, I had a student 2 weeks ago that we're working with Alorica. I think Alorica was here a while, weren't they? We're working with Alorica also, and they came up to do an account. He hadn't had an account since he left school. And he didn't know it, but he was in check systems. And he didn't know why or anything, so we took him back to the branch, and we called, and we were able to get that cleared up, so that, because it wasn't a lot of money, I think it was like 30 some odd dollars, but he didn't know he owed it. And so what you don't know, you can't take care of, correct? So he was in check systems. We were able to take care of it, and then he could open up a regular account. If you fall into check systems, we do have accounts that you can open, but it's not a traditional checking account. It's a cash-only account. It still has a debit card that you can use. But when you talk about debit versus credit, a debit card really won't help build your credit like a credit card would. Again, only charge what you can pay off that month. Any questions so far about that? Also, when you're balancing your checkbook, do y'all write down every debit charge you have? No? Okay. Every week I have about 3 or 4 people that come in the branch, and they have gotten hit with a $37 overdraft fee. And it's every single time they thought the money was in there because it was still pending in their pending status, and it didn't hit till later. When you go to wherever you swipe your card, when you go out and you're doing something, that could sit out in pending 36 hours or longer. It depends upon when they settle their machine. So if they don't settle their machine for a couple days, your transaction is still sitting in their machine, but the money will be gone as soon as they settle their machine. And that has actually what happened with everyone. And the sad thing about it is, it's usually $2 or $5 that they go and swipe, and they do that like 3 times. Well, it's $37 for every swipe. And so you can get like $100 in charges like that. So make sure that you keep track of your pending information, your pending purchases, and that if you're getting too low, don't use it. So anyway, there's also ways that you can track that, and all of you all have smartphones. I see them laying out there. My phone actually alerts me every day with my daily balance. So, and then you can look at your account. If you know what purchases you made recently, you can look and say, hey, that didn't hit. But if you're not really good at that, I would say get some type of check registry, and I hand those out every day. I don't have checks for my account. You don't need them anymore. You can go online. The banks will send checks out for you. You don't have to go to the post office. It's awesome. I love doing all my banking online, but I don't have checks. But I have a check registry, so every time that I use my debit card, I can write it down and I can keep track of it. So luckily at my age I don't live month to month, but most of you all, when you get out of college, you're going to live paycheck to paycheck, which is what we all did. We've all been through it, and you live paycheck to paycheck. So when you do that, make your money count and don't overdraft. And I would highly suggest getting a check registry and work with that. Okay, y'all can get up and get more pizza. This is very informal. I want that pizza gone. Very informal. Has anybody ever overdrafted their account? It's okay. I've done it. Actually, I did do it 2 months ago, and luckily, I had put it into what you can do is you can do overdraft coverage. And what I did was I set my checking account to be covered by my savings account. So I linked those up. So something went through, and I think it was a plumber that I totally forgot about. Didn't write it down because I had gotten a check at the bank and sent it to them from there just in the mail. So it wasn't in my registry or anything. And that put me over. It was like $240. I totally forgot about it. And luckily, it transferred out of my savings into it. So person got paid, everything was good, and it only cost me $12. So when you can link it, you still get charged, but it's not that $37 fee. Yes, sir.
I forgot to ask this earlier.
Yes.
When you were talking about the credit cards, I have this secured card.
Yes.
So I have the $300. If I spend like over a certain amount, like I know I can go over 300, but
Right.
Does that hurt my credit any?
No, it won't. It won't hurt your credit as long as you're making those payments.
The other day I was at the one on Credit Card, and the woman was like, make sure you're not spending more than a third of that a month. It's starting to hurt your credit.
It depends. It goes on versus how much you make. So how much money you're bringing in. So when you go get a loan, what they'll look at is how much you owe versus how much is coming in, and they'll only they'll only allow you to borrow a certain percentage of what you're bringing in. But right now, if you're not going to go get a loan and it's only $300, that's still going to be a low percentage. But as long as you're making those regular payments and they're on time, that's fine. That's fine. Good question. Any other questions? Yes.
Did you talk to them about, I know you talked with the freshman, but like what they need to be, like when they have their income, like what percentage they should be putting back for savings?
Yes. Yes.
They go spike for a movie or go get a Starbucks and they realize that probably didn't need it, and had they used it to their own spending money or play money as you call it.
Right.
Better than taking it out.
How many of you all use a budget right now? Great. Great. And that's one thing I was talking to the freshmen about yesterday is you need to start a budget now. And I know, do all of you all have part-time jobs or full-time jobs? A lot of you don't. My kids, when their freshman year, I didn't make them work because they were still trying to get used to the college life. I wanted them to get involved with college life. So the first year, I kind of gave them an allowance, so that might be what you're getting to. But no matter what, you know what money is coming in every week, and you can probably average it out every month, correct? How many of you all are paying your own cell phone bills? Okay. I'm still paying my 27-year-old cell phone bill, so it's one of those things that I just hadn't made him take over yet. I just keep paying that bill. I don't know why. And then car insurance. Do y'all have car payments, car insurance? So you're going to have all of those expenses. So tell me some of the expenses you have now. I'm sorry? Food. Okay. What else? Gas. Those are both needs, right? Gas and food are needs. What other bills do you have? Did you have to pay for your own books or supplies or anything like that? Boy, I wish I was bill-free when I got out of school. Well, you won't be when you graduate because you'll have to have a place to live. And what do you think a place to live costs right now in Owensboro? $600 or $700 a month, and that's for probably about maybe a 2-bedroom apartment. I have rental property that I own, and I have a really good renter in there, so I've never raised the rent, but right now he has a 3-bedroom, 1-bath home for $650 a month. So that's really good. That's really good. So $600, $650 is going to be your average. And then what other things would you have to pay? Utilities. What do you think utilities run?
Depending on how much you use, it's like 100 probably.
It's probably going to be a little more than that. Gas went up. My Kenergy bill 2 months ago was $510. I about freaked out. I've never paid that much. So I didn't budget that much. So what I had to do, and I only get paid every 2 weeks, I paid half of it with one paycheck, and 2 weeks later I paid the other half, but it all got there before the bill was paid. So I didn't budget that, so I had to pull in from the month later. So you have utilities, and utilities will probably run closer to $150, I would say. Okay, and that would be gas, electric. That doesn't include your phones. How much y'all don't pay for your phones now? How much do you think your phone bills are? How much? 30, 60? I'd say probably around 6. How much is yours? About 90. I have 3 lines and I pay $187. So you have to budget that in. So for you all that are looking at this, and those are needs, right? We haven't even talked about the wants that you want. And what about savings? How much do y'all save right now a month? Do y'all save? No? Yes? How much do you save a month? All of it? Oh man, you're my kind of guy. Well, right now, what the average savings is 20%. That's what you want to plan, is 20% of what you bring in. Now, you might not be able to start with that because, you know, in working with the people at Alorica, a lot of them hadn't had a job in a couple months, so they were kind of behind on their bills. So I didn't tell them it wasn't okay to save because you still need to save. What I told them is save $5. $5, because what's going to happen is that $5 is going to add up, and you know what, that $5 you're not going to even miss, and then once you don't miss that, then add to it. And the way I put it is, I love my Diet Dr. Pepper, I have to say, but if you go buy one of those bottles of Diet Dr. Pepper, how much are they? Some places $1.75, right? So if I could drink tap water 3 times that week and not buy my Diet Dr. Pepper, that's my $5. And that's the way I talk to them about it, because I talk to them a lot during lunch, and I'm like, oh, I see you got a soda, how much was that? So if you could drink tap water for for 3 days, for 3 times. I'm not even saying 3 days. 3 times that you would have picked up a soda, that's $5. Now the important thing is you got to continue to save it, and you got to put it where you can't touch it. There's accounts out there. We have a type of an account where it's a savings account. It's not easily gotten into. You put the money in, but the only way you can take it out is you got to go into the bank. So there's a lot of savings accounts out there. You can transfer online. You can get to it. So you go to the movies with your friends, and you've used up all your budget, but you have savings sitting over there, and you can get online and you transfer that $20 out of savings. On this particular type of savings account, you can't do that. You have to go into the branch. So it kind of keeps you from keeps you from getting into that savings. So when you get home, you say, that is a crappy movie. I shouldn't have used my savings account for that. So it kind of keeps you from doing that. But you want to save about 20% or 100% like you do. Any questions? Let's go back to budgeting, because we talked about the wants. We talked about the needs. What about the wants? What'd you buy last that you didn't really need? Shoes, girls, shoes. My husband says I have a big shoe fetish, and I probably do. I've got shoes in my closet I probably haven't worn probably in 6 months, but I love my shoes. What do you all like? What do you buy? You don't know? Is it getting your hair done? That's almost a need on some of us with the gray, but you're going shopping, you buy that shirt that you really like, but you didn't really need it. What else? What do you buy? Clothes. You like clothes? Oh, you do? Oh, yeah, you buy clothes then, don't you? You're looking good. Oh, what else? What do you buy? What's your thing that you just like, I gotta have it? Ice cream. Oh, yeah. That's me too. What else? Mostly clothes and shoes. Anybody else? I like ice cream too. And what I did is I'm on a diet. And so I can't eat that pizza over there. I'm on a diet. So ice cream is really a big thing for me. So I get ice cream on Sundays once a week. And by the large. By the large cup, but I only get one. Okay. So you can still, and banks will tell you, they don't want you not to get things that you like, okay? But budget them in. So say if you budget, who went out to a movie lately? How much did it cost you? Getting in the movies cheaper than buying the food there. So it's cost what, $7 to $10 to get into a movie in Owensboro? Is that correct? I'm sorry, depends upon when you go, which is what I was going to say. Depends upon when you go. So if you can go during the matinees and save a little bit of money there, do that. What kills you is the popcorn and Coke. I take my grandkids there. I can easily spend $30 on candy and food. Easy. So eat before you go. Get you a little cola while you're there, but eat before you go. Okay? Or plan on, if you're wanting to buy that popcorn, that's part of your budget for that week. So count everything. 70% of married couples fight over money, and that's the biggest thing that divorce leads to divorce. 70%. That's a lot of couples. I've been married 36 years, and he is one lucky man. That's all I got to say. And we have fought about money. That in our younger years, that's probably what we did fight over the most. And we both ended up, we had to work 2 jobs, and we kind of rotated. I worked my second job on the weekends, and then he worked his second job at nights during the week. But we wanted to buy a house, we wanted to build our savings, and we wanted to get our credit report where it needed to be. And like I said, when we first got married, those credit cards, because those credit card companies, I don't know if y'all have already started receiving them, but you are pre-approved for a credit card. How many of y'all gotten those? Everybody gets them. Everybody gets them. So don't fall into that, because again, when you reply back to that, that's going to hit your credit. So if you reply back to about 3 of those cards, even if you get them and don't want them, those cards are on your credit report. Okay? Yes?
That's the same thing. I know some of our students get caught in traps when they go to like department stores. They want to get you to get the card. Is that the same thing?
It's basically the same thing. They'll want you to get their credit card because they'll give you a certain percentage off or $10 off your purchase and everything. But so if you do that just to get that, even though you're going to turn around and pay it off, or you're just going to use it on those sales. If you have 6 of those cards, that's 6 trade lines that you will have open, and that affects your credit by how many trade lines you have open. So, and that's another, thank you for bringing that up. We've had to have people, we'll talk to them because they'll have all these trade lines. They'll have Macy's, they'll have Kohl's, Penny's, Sears when Sears was here. They'd have all these trade lines open. They didn't necessarily use them, but it hurts your credit if you have all those credit cards open, because institutions don't know that you might go and max all those out at any point in time. So it will hurt your credit if you have a lot of trade lines open. So keep to 3. 3's a good number. Make sure it's reputable, and try to, if you're going to use the credit card, try to only put on there what you're going to be able to pay off for that month, because that will help your credit. Okay? Good question. Thank you, ma'am. What other questions? And you'll have to keep me on track on time, okay? Because I like to talk. Yes.
Sorry, I'm a mom.
No, you go right ahead.
So, something that me and my son did as a fun activity this senior year, he took a financial literacy class. There's an app called Acorns. Mm-hmm. And so what that is, and you can tell me if you think it's reputable or not. He still uses it, and I do too, but just for fun, where when you swipe your card is connected, and so that money that goes in there, it goes directly into the savings. You don't see it where it rounds up. Is that similar to the momentum or whatever you were talking about?
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's similar to the momentum. It's the first card that we've seen that we have gotten like this. It's a little app. We're looking to expand that to, I think the next one is possibly going to go to loans or mortgage, which would, how great would that be to cut your mortgage off for 3 years, and that money that that goes off that debit card goes towards that. But yes, we're gonna expand it. I don't know how soon that would be, to round up, and then that change goes into your savings. Mm-hmm. That's awesome. There is a lot of things out there and a lot of products. Don't get caught up in things you see on TV. Be very, very careful of what information you're putting out there, whether it be on the internet or when you call in, you saw something on TV. Are y'all TV shoppers? I know y'all are internet shoppers, aren't you? Everybody's an internet. No? No? Yeah? Yeah? I had a gentleman last week that saw something on TV, some kind of facial cream, and it was special by $4.95, and he wanted to try it. So he called in. Well, they sent him emails about, we've shipped this, da-da-da-da-da. Well, in the fine print, it said, after you try this, if you don't send it back within 10 days, you will be charged for the rest of the tube. And it's a small tube, but the tube was $95 for this tube. And he didn't read it, and replied back, thank you, or whatever. It said to reply back if this is your correct address and da-da-da, which he did. But also in that fine writing down at the bottom, it said that you would be charged. And 10 days later, he didn't do it. He didn't send it back. He got charged $95. Well, not only that, but now because he didn't call in and cancel, he is now getting charged monthly. He got up to almost $500 in charges, and there wasn't a thing I could do about him because he accepted the terms and conditions when he replied back, and he didn't read through the contract. So be very careful when you're getting something special by like that you don't get caught up in anything. I was telling them yesterday that I also had a client that purchased things online, and it was cosmetics. I can't even think of the name of it, but she'd get cosmetics very cheap, and she had purchased from them before. Well, she ended up not getting everything that she ordered, and I couldn't prove that she didn't get it, but she lost over $300. I had a lady that called me right after this happened. She was very upset. She's about my age. We're not real computer savvy. We didn't grow up with computers. We had typewriters. We went to typing classes, so we had typewriters. And Microsoft pop-up came on and said, you're having trouble with something that she didn't understand. You need to call this number. So she called the number, and the gentleman said, yes, we can fix it at no charge, but we need to get into your computer. Just accept me when the pop-up comes up. Well, she did that, and afterwards she thought, okay, this guy can now get into all my banking. He can see my passwords and everything. While he was in her computer, she called me and told me, I said, that's a scam. Turn your computer off right now so he can't get into it. And she came directly down. We changed all her login information. We closed those accounts and opened new accounts. So she didn't lose anything, but what if she hadn't called me at that point? He could have gone in and cleaned out her account. So be very careful about that. I had another lady that her credit score wasn't very well, and she was a little desperate on getting some cash, and she had gotten some emails from this one place that said you're already pre-approved for $5,000 in cash. So she called it, and they said, yes, we'd be happy to do that. They started asking her information, and they said, do you have login information to your bank? And they said yes. And he said, well, if you give me that login information, we'll go on and deposit that money in there right now today, so you'll have it. She allowed that. She gave him her username and her password that nobody should know. And he got in there, and what happened was he wrote a code check and he mobile deposited it. So you can't see where it's from or anything like that. And after she did that, luckily she called me, and I said, you know what, that's a scam. I said, that check's not going to be any good. And so we froze her account, and we reopened. Now, unfortunately, because she gave her login information to this person, the bank would not let us reopen any of her accounts because that was a threat. So to the bank itself, that if that person could get into our system, because she gave all that. So be very careful. She couldn't open another account with Fifth Third, and she'd been with us for probably 8 years, and she just fell into a scam. So be careful giving out any information. If somebody calls you and says, hey, I'm with Fifth Third, we just need to verify your information. If they ask you your social security number, don't give it out. Chances are that's not Fifth Third. We already know your social security number. we might ask you to verify who you are if you call in by giving us the last 4 digits, or a keyword. We always get a keyword when you open accounts. But we're not going to ask you your password, your username, your social security number. We don't want to know your password. If I don't know any of my clients' passwords when they come in. If they can't get into their online account, I just reset up a temporary password, and then they got to go in and change it. So don't give out any of that information to anybody that calls you on the phone. Unfortunately, I probably see 3 of these a week. A week we do this. So be very careful giving out that information. Okay, has anybody been involved or know someone that's been involved with any of that? You have? Okay. It happens out there. And I always say, if these people, they're smart. They're not stupid people. They figured out how to do this and how to get information from people. They can get into computers. They're not stupid people. If they would just use their minds for the greater good, think how great the United States would be, right? Are we good, or you want me to keep going? It's 10 to...
so we have a few more minutes. If you want to go over a couple other things.
Well, I was just going to ask if anybody had any questions, and please fill out those papers, because the next sessions will be based upon what I get back from you all and what you all want to get out of the class, and probably me finishing up this original one. So for you all that don't know credit scores and everything, let me just shoot you this. A bad credit score or low credit score is 500 to 589. Credit score, interest rates are based upon your credit scores. So if you have a low credit score, your interest rate's going to be higher because they're taking a chance on you. A 720 to an 850 is considered very good. And just an example of this, a monthly payment for a person with poor credit for a $25,000 car would be $882. For that same loan for that car, someone with excellent credit, their payment would be $762. So it's very important to protect your credit. So I'd like to help you start building your credit, and if you all want to come in next time and we can talk more about that, because I think that's what's really important, especially for college students, so that when you get out of college, you've already started building that. And then budgeting is in a session, and we'll actually do a budget for you. So, okay. Was this helpful? Okay. Well, I urge you to get more pizza, please. Even if you're going to take it back to your dorm room, that's fine. So get you some more pizza, take it back with you, and bring friends next time. So thank you all. I appreciate it.